Welcome to the Unlock the Genius Within podcast. My name is Jordan DeBarno, founder of the Creative Genius Academy. And on this show, I'll be teaching you the principles to unlocking the part of your consciousness where your true genius and potential lives. Thanks for joining me today, and let's get into the episode. Welcome back to the Unlock the Genius Within podcast. My name is Jordan DeBarno, and welcome to episode 2. It is amazing to be here once again. And today, guys, we're going to be going over how to thrive in the chaos, in and amongst it. Whether you are a busy business owner and you've got a team and heaps of products to sell, and maybe you've even got your own office that you go to work each day, or you could be a startup entrepreneur and you've got a product in the background and you're trying to make it your full-time thing, and you've still got to go to work to get the bills and what have you paid. This episode is going to be very important for you to listen to. It's going to be super, super helpful. We've got a lot of content to go over today. And I picked this particular subject because this is the main reason entrepreneurs come to work with me. It's the chaos that goes on around them, and it's also the chaos that goes on within. You know, when we're trying to build something, there is a certain amount of tension that builds up in our bodies, in our minds, and also in the people around us. And if we do not know how to thrive in and amongst it, what can usually happen is we can resolve the chaos. I don't want to even say surrender to the chaos, because that's actually a very powerful thing, which we'll be talking about today. But we can resolve the chaos. And when we resolve the chaos, we usually create more chaos. And that's going to be a key principle that we go over today. So what I'm going to advise you all to do is to ensure you've got your pens and pads out. We're going to have some exercises as well later in our episode today. So ensure that when we do get later down the track, you are ready to do like a bit of a visualization or meditation, because what that particular exercise is going to be super powerful for you to see how you show up when you're out of your genius, in and amongst the chaos, and also how your genius wants to show up for you when you are in the chaos. They're two very, very different ways of being in business. Okay, so this is going to be an epic show. 3 epics. Pretty amazing, hey? Alrighty, let's get into it. So we're going to start off with some key misconceptions. And the first one is this is a big one for a lot of business owners, and you know, for me, I still get caught up in this myself, and it's that chaos must be fixed. It needs to be fixed. You know, if there's chaos around me, it's a sign that it needs to be put back together, changed, or fixed. And the reason why this is actually a real disempowering story to tell yourself is because when you approach chaos from the lens of, I need to fix it because I think there's some sort of reward, goal, result on the other side of it, what you'll end up doing is you'll end up chasing the false goal, the false shiny objects that is going to feel amazing in your mind and your body when you get it sorted out. Like, you know, if you realize a product's not selling and your ego's going, well, bit of chaos over there, let's just drop the prices, and those sales are coming in, and your mind's going, man, yes, we're making money, right? And what you're not seeing is what that's potentially doing on the other side of things to your brand positioning, to your own frequency. Like, you could have just dropped out of the most creative part of your being down into survival, and now, because you followed that one idea, you're coming up with all of these other ideas that are based on survival. So what am I actually getting to here? We thought that example. One limiting action to resolve chaos, one action to resolve chaos will create another chaotic event. I want you to write that down. You try and fix chaos, you might see a result and go, oh, so good, right? And it'll feel amazing. But you don't know what you've created down the track. And again, it's all about where you come from. If you came from, I want to fix the chaos, I want to change it, then no doubt further down the track, you are going to face the same chaotic event in a different form, potentially in another area of life. And the cycle repeats and repeats and repeats and repeats. And this is why business owners stagnate. This is a big, big reason why business owners stagnate. And it's not because they've got the wrong strategy or the wrong people in place. It's because they've got the survival mechanism is controlling the decision making, and they're looking at, oh, got to solve it, right? And it's like that's not the case, right? Because when you're in your genius, you'll see a totally different thing in front of you. You might not even see chaos in that event, but we're going to come back to that later. That's a separate subject. Now, the second misconception is that chaos is a threat. I want you to write this down. This is big. This is big. And a lot of people, oh, you know, my staff members are playing up inside, or my boss just told me to up my work, and it's causing all this chaos in my mind, and I'm stressed, and that's a threat to my ability to now go home and work on my idea. Or it could be, I can't work on the business now because all of these staff members just keep slowing me down, dragging me back in, right? And this is the thing. This is a very real thing for a lot of people. It comes when we're trying to move forward, we're trying to get to the next level, and it's like, oh, all these problems just continue to come up. And you would only believe that if you were making the decision or responding from the place in your consciousness that is based on survival. Okay, remember what I said in the last episode. Your genius only knows the truth. The survival part of your consciousness only knows the past. Okay, so if you've got this wound or this belief that, people are out to get me, right, which a lot of entrepreneurs do. I know I've had that. Or I can't trust others. When a staff member does something that rubs you the wrong way, or your boss just stresses you out, if you're in that part of your consciousness, you will immediately assume they're out to get me. Shit, I got to respond to this because it's a threat, right? I got to do, and the actions and the ideas that you get, though it'll feel amazing to follow, what you're actually creating is more threats down the line. Okay, because you're trying to avoid something bad from happening. Okay, but in your genius, what's fascinating with this, and I do this exercise with a lot of my clients, when something like this happens, staff member acts up, or they've got all these people around them, like an early entrepreneur, all these people around them trying to influence their decision, and it's like, oh, which way do I go? When we put them in their genius, they realize that all of this chaos actually has nothing to do with the end result that they're going for. Okay, so please write this down. Chaos is only a threat if you make it a threat. Chaos is only a threat if you make it a threat. And the way you make it a threat is you come from that place that helps you survive, right? And again, remember what I said last week. That part of you is designed to keep you safe. It's not necessarily designed to create. Okay, so really challenge yourself. Next time you're assuming something is a threat, ask yourself, like, what definition am I assigning to this? Am I assuming that this person's out to get me? Like, am I really putting that label on it? Or am I assuming that I'm powerless in this scenario? Like, there's plenty of definitions that we can assign. But the main thing is, like, are you assuming this is going to be a threat? Okay. Now, the last thing is, I can't perform in and amongst the chaos. Like, lots of people think if there's chaos going on around me, I can't, I can't get it done. I can't make sales. I can't think straight. I get overwhelmed. And the reality is, this happens when you're focused on survival. You're focused on avoiding threats. So if you could just imagine this, you'll be able to remember when this has happened to you. You're in the office, or you're at home, right? And you've had a hard day. And tomorrow, you've got that coming again. You know it. You know that same scenario is waiting for you. If you're in your survival, you are going to start to assume, okay, I can't perform in that environment, so how can I avoid all of this stuff weighing me down? Okay, so what you'll actually do when you go into the office the next day, is you will be on the front foot avoiding things from happening while while trying to actually do your job and work. So your mind is like split in its focus, which remember it's actually not split. It's you're focused on survival while trying to will yourself over to genius, but you won't get there because you're too attached to avoiding stuff from happening. And the reason this is very dangerous is because then you'll start to assume, oh, well, this just doesn't work and I'm frustrated and people are holding me back and it's too much chaos and I need to go and escape off to Bali to work alone in a villa. I know I've had that, right? So please, please understand that I'm only speaking from experience here. But the reality is, like, we only create that for ourselves because we're assuming that the chaos around us needs to be prevented. It needs to be avoided, right? But if you're in your genius and you're like, okay, well, there's chaos around me and I'm focused on my end result, it doesn't matter where you are, right? It literally doesn't. You will see the opportunity to go towards whatever it is that you are wanting to complete, whether it's a sales call, whether it's a certain conversation with your staff members, whether you got to write something. There's just a lot of shit going on in your mind. By saying to yourself, yeah, there's chaos, by owning it and just going, it's around me, it's okay. And then just going, well, and I'm going for this, right? And that is where the power comes back in your favor. But a big asterisk next to this one. You've got to be going for your genius truth. You've got to be going for the truth of your business, the truth of your genius, if this is going to work. If you're going for a false little shiny thing that your ego's going, here, sales, profit, now we've got expenses, right? And that's not in your truth, you're going to have a hard time. That's going to be even more chaos. It's going to add even more chaos to the chaos that's going around you. But if you've got an end result that's like it's whatever your genius has fed you, right? So if your genius has fed you something like to build a successful and thriving tech company that serves users from right around the world, that's a terrible end result. But let's just say that that's what your genius has given you. If you're focused on that, okay, you will get a different set of ideas. You might just go, well, I actually don't need to do anything today. My ego's telling me I need to do all this stuff to fight the chaos and while we're in that frequency. But when I get focused on this end result, nothing's really that obvious to do. In fact, I don't even need to be in the office, right? And this will start to happen. You'll notice the more you connect into your genius, you will just start to remove yourself from action steps, from all the doing and the busyness and the hustle that just clouds your mind and is just about you resolving your own inner chaos. Okay. All righty. Pause. Oof. We're on fire this morning, guys. There's a lot here. Before we go on, here's what I want to know. Here's what I want to know from everyone in the listeners, and you can get going and comment this in the on YouTube, or you can leave a review now on Spotify if you've got something that's dropped in that you really want to share. I want to know what kind of chaos really trips you out. Is it the inner stuff, like the stress, the anxiety that just builds up, or is it the stuff that goes on around you? What tends to get your attention more? You know, for me, it is definitely the outer stuff. When the outer's going on, I have a tendency to freak out. That's why I shared the Bali example, because I like escaping off and going, oh, no people. Just me, the beach and the trees and my laptop, right? It's not realistic to live. Well, you can live like that for a while, but you're not going to be in that tension that you need to create stuff, right? Which we're going to visit in a second. And when once you've got that, I want you to reflect, what is your main way that you go to avoid that chaos? What do you do to avoid that chaos? Now, I remember for me, the way I used to do this was when I was in sales and customers would come on sales calls, I would assume they'd have objections galore. Okay. So what I did was I learned how to preemptively strike down their objections. And man, I was doing stuff on these calls that was just like, Like looking back now, I go, that was so unnecessary to do. But back in the day, I believed it was necessary. I was telling all these stories, seeding all these things that was just overcoming every objection you could possibly think of: time, price, partner, all this stuff. And I'd keep the customer on the call for 90 minutes. Now, of course, I had a high close rate because they were on the calls for that long. But what happened to me later on? My voice gave out. Like I remember for like 2 weeks, this was when I was running my sales agency, my voice just gave out and I couldn't speak. And looking back, I created that because I was just wearing myself out on all these calls, resolving all this inner chaos that I had in relation to people's objections, right? Where now for me, if there's an objection, it's just what it is. Like it doesn't need to be resolved. It's totally valid. So think about yours. Like, what's your thing? Do you have the same thing that I did in sales, or is your thing with staff members when you're getting that they're stressed and they're coming at you with all these questions? Do you kind of front up and puff your chest out and go, "Well, this is how it is," or do you find when expenses are coming in and you're noticing the bank account's draining low, you go, "Right, time to pump more money into ads," and you draw the cash out of the savings account, the savings account you should have, like whatever it is. Really reflect on this, because when you know how you go to resolve chaos, you can then stop creating more chaos. Okay. All right, guys, we're going to take a short break. And when we come back, we are going to be going through the key premises for how you can thrive in and amongst the chaos. Okay, welcome back, guys. So hopefully you all did the exercise and you picked out what kind of chaos is quite prevalent in your life, and also the way that you resolve it. And this is an awareness piece. We want to hold the assumption that when we shine a light over a pattern and how we resolve and actually action that pattern, once we're aware of that, we know that we can step out of it naturally. Okay. And you're gonna be able to step out of it naturally only once you know the other side as well. So the first part is you can, and this is why, like, when we do inner work and when we do, personal development, if we're only getting one side, which is our, what the limiting action is, what the limiting emotions are, what the limiting beliefs are, and we're not, getting the other side, which is the genius emotion, the genius concept, the genius belief, then alchemy can't occur. You want to write this down. Alchemy occurs when the higher is stacked over the lower. And I think I might have taken you guys through this last week, but if I didn't, I'm going to repeat myself here. The higher against the lower. So when we stack a high vibration message over a low vibration message, transformation occurs naturally. And this is basically the premise, the foundation, the premise of all my work that I do with business owners. It's like, if we want to cause a huge shift in a product, if we want to get a shift within the person, within their focus, if we want to shift a relationship between a staff member and a manager, we always want to see, okay, what is the limiting perspective, the limiting beliefs, the emotions that are driving the current place that we're in, the current reality? And then also, what is the vision for this? And the vision always comes from our genius, when we're able to tap into that part of ourselves where we can look at it with a fresh perspective and go, okay, what's obvious here? And then when we can focus on that, the higher perspective, that's when transformation occurs naturally. All right, so let's get into the key premises. We're not talking about alchemy today. We are talking about how to thrive in and amongst the chaos. Now, the first key premise that we have for this is, when chaos is transformed into tension, okay, the power goes to your genius. Write that down. When chaos, inner chaos, outer chaos, is transformed into tension, the power just naturally goes to our genius. So what's this? What's tension? You guys might have followed some of my videos on social media or my other videos on YouTube, and you might have heard me speak about tension quite a bit. Tension is essentially the distance between where we are and what we want. It's the distance between that. Whenever we want something, there's this feeling that gets built in the body, right? And when we experience chaos, we do experience tension, but it's not the creative tension. It's something called psych tension, which we're not going to speak about today. But when we're feeling all the chaos from people around us or within us, and we go to resolve that, okay, it's because that psych tension, that chaotic tension, is pushing us towards certain action steps that will recreate more chaos down the track, okay? And the reason it recreates more chaos down the track is because the result that we're going after is limiting. It's actually, usually it's not even a clear result. It's just we want to experience a resolution around how we're feeling about a particular event. So for example, right, you like a staff member acts out, or you are you have a new product, and you've got this sales call coming up and freaking out. You're like, oh shit, man, I'm so nervous. I like it. And you're focused on rejection. Let's say you don't want to get rejected. And same with your staff member. You don't want to get rejected by your staff member. If you give the power to the chaotic tension, you're probably going to go about that sales call, that staff meeting, in a way that might resolve your tension and get you feeling, oh, thank God. But you might not actually create what you want. You might be back with the same sales call, the same dispute with your staff member the next month, because the customer didn't buy, because maybe you went all nicey nice and you didn't stick with actually serving them on the sales call. And with the staff member, maybe you were nicey nice too, and you didn't geniusly communicate to them the pathway forward. And therefore, what did they do? They acted out again, out of company value. So that's just a example I made up, but it's a one that comes up for a lot of people. That's when we hold on to chaotic tension and we resolve it. But when we transform it, the power goes to our genius. Now, some of you are going, okay, Jordan, great, amazing, but like how do I actually transform chaotic tension or psych tension into creative tension? Okay, and it's simple. It's very simple. You need the genius perspective. It's simple, right? If you are focused on resolving chaos, you're going to feel chaotic tension. But if you're in your genius's perspective, you will feel a different kind of tension, energy that will inspire different actions. Okay. So you can go about this in two ways. I'll give you two ways here. You get the genius perspective on the events that's going on around you. Okay. Or you choose to go, that is happening, and I'm focused back on my truth, and I'm focused on the actual end result of my business, right? So you can choose, okay, I'm going to bring my genius's perspective to this event and choose to look at it in a different way with a fresh pair of eyes. And remember, this is where we go into the unknown and we look at it from a fresh set of eyes. We're like, okay, great, amazing. And this does take some training, right? This totally takes some training. And if you haven't gotten on the Genius Toolkit, this will totally help you with looking at problems in a certain way, unlocking that part of your consciousness that can actually see past all the things that are going on in your mind and your body. It takes training, but once you're trained, this is how you go about it. So you bring the genius perspective to the problem, or you go, okay, great, this is going on. I own that. It's fine. I'm feeling chaotic, and I'm going back to my truth. And I'm going back to the truth of this business. And I'm going back to how I'm serving people. And you focus there. And you let that build. You let that emotion build in the body. You let that focus build. And all of a sudden, baby, you're rocking with creative energy. And it's like, holy crap, I didn't do anything. That's right. You just shifted your focus. And it was like, cool. It's cool. I saw a video the other day that really it really got me excited, because I love when I'm seeing other people in this space talking about focus. And it was Tony Robbins, and he's probably said this before, but the other day when I saw it, I'm like, no, this is a potent message, particularly for now, with everyone's freaking out about the recession or the potential recession that's coming, and times are going to get difficult. And he said something that was quite profound, and it's literally what we're speaking here. He said, we don't experience life. We experience the life that we focus on. And literally, that is exactly what I'm talking about here. When you're focused on the chaos, okay, and you're coming from the part of you that's helping you stay safe, you are going to go and try and resolve the chaotic tension. But when you go, okay, there's chaos here, but I'm going to put the power in my genius and choose to see this with a fresh perspective, okay, with a genius perspective, or I'm going to get back on my truth, back on my end result for my business and go, hang on, this is here. I'm not denying that, but this is what I actually do. This is what we're focused on. This is what actually matters. You all of a sudden, that chaotic emotion, that chaotic energy just changes, and it changes around you too. People start to see you in a different way. One of my clients, she's a salon owner, hairdressing salon, and she literally explains this to me every session we have. She's like, people just cannot stop commenting on how my energy changed. So, and it's not because we did energy healing or anything. We just got her focused on the truth of her business. So now, first it happened within her. She's feeling differently, and now everyone else around her is going, whoa, something different about you. Okay, and this is why our genius is so powerful. This is why it's such an important part to really lean into. Now, the second key premise is that when chaos becomes stress, you shrink to your limits. Write this down. When you choose to respond to the chaos within you or the chaos around you in a way that makes you go, I'm stressed, okay, you shrink to your limits. You shrink to your limits, okay? The minute we start going, I'm anxious, I'm stressed, I'm pissed off, that person, I blame them, la, 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 okay? What we're choosing to do is to go, well, I didn't create this in the first place. I am not the creator of my experience. I am not the creator of the life that I live. It is all happening to me. Okay. And remember, when we're going from this premise in this work that we create everything that we experience and it's all from our focus, the minute we start saying that, oh, the chaos in me or the chaos around me isn't of my creation, that's when we start going, oh, now I'm stressed. Now I'm anxious. It's out of my control. But it's totally not true. It's that you created it. You went with a certain action, you ran with a certain belief of yours, and you created the chaos around you. You will probably even and because of the chaos around you, you're probably feeling more chaos within you. And the way that we pull the pin on that is the minute we go, well, I'm going to choose to unlock this other part, this consciousness, this part of my consciousness that can see things outside of my survival mechanism. Okay. And that's when you go, well, hang on a second. No, I'm not stressed. I'm just feeling some energy here. I'm just feeling some energy because I want something. And that's when you can see, all right, well, clearly I want the chaos to be over, but my genius is telling me resolving that's only going to shrink me down. I'm being guided back this way. I'm being guided back over here to create above what my survival mind is telling me. Because here's the thing, quite often when we experience energy in the body that is new or familiar, okay, it's just the ego trying to derail you. It's trying to derail you. It's like, okay, energy in the body, ego pop up, make its voice known. Well, you know, Jordan, this feels like when you were 6 years old, when you were getting bullied. So it's all anxiety, or it's all you being exposed. People are after you now. Like God knows what's happening around me, but the ego will pop up and then assign a definition to it. And the minute it assigns a definition, you will look at the scenario in a particular way, and then you're done. You're done because you're going to follow a string of actions that's just going to take you way off where your business really needs you and where your team and the people around you really need your focus. But if you feel something and you see it around you and you go, okay, things are getting pretty chaotic, but it's just tension. Literally, you just say that it's just tension, and then you choose to put the power in your genius. You choose to see the events, see yourself within your genius. Okay, this is where magic happens, because you will get a different read on what's going on. you will tap into what I say to my clients, your intuitive CEO, and you will make better decisions that will grow and expand your business, your influence to levels that you couldn't imagine. You won't have to be trapped anymore. You'll actually break out of your limits. And this is how simple it is. All right. It almost sounds too good to be true. Trust me, guys, it is. As soon as you get the higher against the lower, the higher vibration message against the lower, the transformation happens naturally because you become a different creator. You don't become this creator that's going, respond to chaos, create more limits. Okay. You're like, no, I'm a genius. I see it. I see it from my genius. And it's like, okay, what's obvious here? Great. Amazing. Don't do anything. And the chaos is just breaking in front of you and it's doing its thing and you're not responding. Okay, you're not responding. So what happens? All the chaotic events, they just fall, they resolve themselves, and then you move on to your truth. This is where power comes in. So that last example, guys, a lot of entrepreneurs could do this when a staff member's complaining and they're heaping on all of these, these things that are coming up, like these feelings that they have about their job, right? And if the entrepreneur's in their genius, they might see, just let this person talk. All the emotions they have right now, they just need to get it out. Get it out, get it out, get it out, get it out, get it out. And they're not saying anything. They're not trying to defend the company. They're not trying to do anything because they know if they defend it, it's probably coming from this pride place where it's like, oh, I wonder if my company's good enough, or, oh, I remember when my company wasn't good enough and I really had to defend it. If they just sit there and go, okay, oh, genius. I mean, after that staff member is vented, there's probably nothing left, and the situation's probably just going to resolve itself, right? This is a thing that happens on sales calls all the time, and you just let the customer talk. You just get them back on track, and it's like all that stuff they were talking about didn't actually matter. So please remember that when you define your chaos as stress, as anxiety, as a particular title, that's when you shrink to your limits and you'll just recreate a bunch of things that you just don't want to experience. Now, the last premise that I'm going to give you for this episode, which is really, really important, okay, and then we're going to do a little exercise, is that it's all energy. Write this down. It's all energy. Whether you're in chaotic tension, whether you're in creative tension, whether you're in your genius, in your ego, whatever emotions that arise, it's all energy. And it can be used to create limiting outcomes in your business, or it can be used to create genius outcomes. It can transform either way. Okay. So it's not, and this is, and let me explain. If you resolve it, you lose it. Okay. So if you're experiencing stress because there's a bunch of things going on in your life and in your business that's making you feel like, oh, geez, right, this is pretty chaotic at the moment. If you go resolve that with a certain action, like you get pissed off or you start working too hard or whatever, you don't have that energy anymore. It's gone, right? It's gone. You can't transform that to using your genius. It's finished. Right? You're going to have to wait until you refocus and you go, okay, and you build up the tension again. But if you don't respond to the chaos around you, if you don't respond to your ego, and you're like, okay, I'm ready, and you get back on the stuff that matters, the energy transforms into something that is going to inspire different actions, different ideas, and different events in your life. This is when you become the intuitive CEO. This is when you become this powerhouse entrepreneur. I'm going to even take it beyond an entrepreneur here. You become the creative genius of your business. And believe me, you all have it. Everyone listening here, you really do. You have this part of yourself, and it gets unlocked when you do not respond to the chaos around you. It really does. And this is how you create things that take you out of your problems. All right. And it's a totally different subject. So those are the key premises. Chaos is transformed into tension. When that happens, you get put into your genius. When you shrink and you define chaos as stress, like the inner chaos you experience, that's when you go down to your limits. And the last premise is it's all energy. Now, we're going to do a little exercise that's going to be very powerful. It's going to be very powerful, and it's actually going to get you to see the difference between chaotic tension and creative tension. Alrighty, so what I'm going to get you to do is just put your pens and pads down, regardless where you are. I'm going to take a little sip of my espresso here because it is the morning as I record this, and we're going to get into this. Genius wants me to have coffee always. Maybe not, but it does. I'm pretty sure it is. Shutting down your eyes. Taking a deep breath in. Exhaling out the mouth. Taking a deep breath in again. Exhaling out the mouth. And just imagine that your body and mind are becoming fully empty. You're fully emptying out. I want you to start to imagine that this is happening, as this is happening, that you can see your everyday job or business playing out just in front of you. And you're in it. Just witness it. Whether that's an image of you in the office working, whether it's you on stage recording a podcast like me, at a house, maybe you're a real estate agent, could be a banker, you're in the bank, getting loans done for people's houses, who knows? Just build that image in your mind. And as you're looking at it, I want you to invite yourself to join the picture and really be the person in the everyday hours of your work and your business. Just imagine this. Continue to imagine it. What does it feel like to be in this place? What can you smell? What's the smell of the vision that you're having here? What can you touch? Build a full sensory experience. And now, what I want you to imagine is that a problem occurs, a roadblock, okay? And whatever comes to you first, just let it happen, okay? This is not hard, just literally allow it. It's the minute I said problem, just allow it to arise. Problem occurs. And I want you to imagine that you go to resolve it now. Just watch what you do to actually resolve this particular problem. Observe the feelings that are going on in your body. Observe the thoughts that you have. And also start to take note on what the people are doing around you as you go to resolve this particular problem. Continue to really take in everything that is going on here. And once you've got a real good feel for what's happening, I want you to open up your eyes, okay? Pick up your pen, and I want you to start to write down what was happening in that vision. Number one, what problem came up for you immediately? How are you resolving it? And literally, and just go with this third bit, okay? It's going to be a little challenging for some of you, but some of you might get it first time. If you were to make up what it created, what would that be? So because you resolved the problem, if you were to just make up what the result of you resolving that problem was, what happened? Okay, go and do that now. And once you are finished, come back. So as you're doing this, just pop me on pause. And then once you're done, come back and we will get into the last bit of this exercise for this episode. All right. So if you really tapped into your imagination there and you made up what happened, I'm sure you would have seen that there was some outcome that came that might have felt good, but it wouldn't have necessarily raised you and your vibration and your way of creating to your genius. Okay. You probably would have just dealt with the thing. You might have had to, give a little of yourself in a way that you didn't want to, maybe give up some money or work harder or or have a conversation that wasn't exactly authentic. And therefore, you're in a lower vibration of creating, right? What we're going to do now is we're just going to let that go, and we're going to polarize it with the higher vibration message. Okay, so taking a deep breath in, exhaling out, and again, exhaling out. And as I count down from 3, just preparing to drop what you just saw. 3, 2, 1, and dropping the vision you just had. Just dropping it, shutting down your eyes and imagining that your mind and your body is fully emptying out, but you're fully present now. Just imagine that taking place. And as this is occurring, I want you to now imagine that this same work environment, this same business vision that you had has reappeared. And it's in front of you and you can see it. It's your day-to-day. But before we go in, I want you to choose to be in your heart. Make the choice now. I choose to be in my heart, okay? And second, I choose to serve my truth. Okay, just make that choice now. As you're looking at it, I choose to serve my truth. And as the feelings are coming to you of what it feels like to be in your heart, what it feels like to be in service to your higher truth, whatever's come up, just really embrace it. I want you to now join the vision. Join the vision that you've got. You're at the house selling it. You're on stage, recording the podcast, in the bank, whatever you do, it's happening right now. You're in the salon. And I want you to imagine now that the same problem occurs. Same problem comes in. And as this happens, I want you to take a moment to observe what the problem is actually about. Just take a moment to observe what the problem's actually about. Observe what feelings come up for you. Observe what actions you are wanting to take because of those feelings. And as this is all happening, choose to just suspend doing anything for a moment. And as you're looking at the problem now, I want you to make a choice to observe the obvious. Observe the obvious within this problem. Just observe what's obvious about it. Start to notice all the different ways that it could be resolved. Start to notice all the different outcomes that it could potentially create. And just as you're taking this position up as the observer, staying in your heart, ask yourself, is there any action for me to take? Do I need to do anything about this? Just ask yourself as you're looking at it. And whatever's come up for you within this little exercise, I want you to now open your eyes, pick up your pen, and I want you to take what you got and write it all down. And if you were to make it up, if you were to make this up, right, from what you saw, if you were to just make up what it was all about, do you need to do anything to resolve the problem that you had? Go and write it all down now and just really challenge yourself. If I was to make it up, is this really a problem? And if it is, how would I go about it? If I was to just make it up, how would I go about it? Okay. And start to write it all down. Pop me on pause. And then when you're done, come back. Okay. So what would have happened there, guys, if you really chose the two things to be in your heart and to serve your truth, and to really suspend reacting to this problem in your vision, okay, you probably saw a very different outcome in front of your eyes. Okay, You might have seen a problem that, yeah, it's a problem, but it actually has the capacity to resolve itself. You might have seen a different action step to take. Okay. That is a little sneak peek. What you just experienced, that is a little sneak peek of what's possible when you tap into your genius. Now, obviously, right there, you guys haven't gone to the depths of the genius training and choosing to be in the unknown and actually opening up the intuitive orientation. So you wouldn't have experienced the full like vision and messaging that your genius wanted to give you for that particular problem. But that's just a start. It's a good place to start. And I would highly recommend that you all practice that little exercise I gave you on any problem or scenario that comes up in your business that triggers you or gets you feeling a certain type of way, because it's just practicing. When a problem arises, you're practicing stepping out of survival, landing in your heart and landing in your truth, and looking at it from quite a brave perspective. Okay, because what you saw might have not necessarily made you happy. You might have gone, oh God, Jesus Christ, this is going to be uncomfortable. I'm not going to do anything about this. And that is power. And that is power. When you can own, hey, it's true for me to not do anything about this. I'm feeling chaotic about not doing anything, and you stick by what you saw, man, that is true power. That's when you really do go, okay, I'm taking back my my energy here, and I'm turning it into tension, because my genius obviously is telling me to do this because there's a creation coming. There's an end result that will come out of not doing anything that's much bigger, and I can't necessarily see it yet. Okay, and that's the magic. So guys, we've covered a lot. So if you sit there going, Jesus Christ, Jordan, all the chaos, oh my God, there's so much. Right, what I want you to do is just take a moment now to write out a few lines of what you've taken away. If you did love this episode, jump onto YouTube or Spotify and leave a review and share what you learned. Obviously, I love to hear from you guys and what you're learning. But also, share it for your own good, because you're telling your subconscious, when lessons land, you're telling your subconscious how things are going to be. Right. And that's a powerful way to step forward and create above what you've previously created. And it's a very awesome way to build momentum towards where you want to go to next in your life. If you are looking for help in creating your genius business and your genius level of success in business, then I would highly recommend that you check out the programs that we've got on in the Creative Genius Academy right now. We've got the Genius Toolkit, full self-study course that actually trains you to connect to your genius orientation. Okay, the part of your consciousness that can look at products, that can look at problems in your business, it can look at all these kind of things with a genius, literally a genius point of view. And guys, once you are trained in this stuff, you will not put it down, okay? Because you start to create things that can only be defined as, oh my God, this is genius. Go grab that program if you haven't. It's 97 AUD. Link is in the show notes. And if you're looking for more help and you really want to go, oh, Jordan, things are pretty hard in my business right now, or, you're working a full-time job and you haven't quite been able to crack into the next level, then book in a call with me. Book in a 30-minute call and let's sit down, because I have a bunch of programs that can help you build your genius, your genius business, whatever that looks like for you. We've got our one-to-one containers that I run, and we've also got our mastermind. So book in a call if you are interested in getting help in going to that next level where your genius is calling you to go in business. Alrighty. Apart from that, guys, thanks for tuning in today. We'll be back next week, and I look forward to speaking to you then.